Where's my engine, Ted? Where's my engine? Hi guys. As you can tell, we pulled the engine out of the green Integra. We are gonna do a K20 swap. Basically, it's a K24 with a K20 Type S transmission. So yeah, first step was me and my son pulled this engine out. And if you watch the other video, I sold the Type R swap to my friend and I put it on his car, the black EK hatchback or whatever you want to call the chassis. But yeah, so this is the first update on it. Pull the engine out, and then we'll be working on this. Yeah, so stay tuned. First step, we probably see my son drilling this mount out because you gotta remove these mounts now. I'm not going high dollar on this. This is gonna be cheap build. So we're using max speeding rods mount instead of Hasport. It's just save a lot of buck, you know. And I'm still debating if I'm gonna go buy a harness or we're gonna make the engine harness work, because it will come with the engine harness, the Type S harness on it. So we'll see. So yeah, I'm get going now. Right back. My son is working on pulling this swap out. It's a K20 Type S or K20 A2. It's got the harness pulled out. He just have to do this motor mount and this motor mount. This is already unbolted. I just put it back so it doesn't leak fluid everywhere. We're using this as a swap parts. We do have a K24 for it. This thing threw a rod, so the engine itself is no good, but the swap part should be. So we're using that. The 6-speed transmission is still good. I drove it before it threw a rod. So yeah, here, let me put a time lapse of him, and I'm helping him a little bit working on this. Engine's out. We're gonna go ahead and strip it down. I'll probably pull the head off to see if the head's okay. If the head's okay, I'm gonna save it, probably build it and get another K24 and put it on top of that and build another swap for the other cars. Yeah, so let me show you the process. What's up, YouTube? Hope everybody's been safe out there. We got this thing going on right now, coronavirus. So just stay inside. As for us, we've been kind of staying inside. Haven't really touched this all that much. I mean, we've been putting in work here and there. Mainly kind of prepared, stocked up on the stuff we need, and only what we need, Don't overstock, guys. I'm probably good for a little over a month, like a month and a half, and I figured 3 weeks from now, if it's not getting better, I'll go out and get some more supplies. But as of now, stay safe. Thank your emergency responders and your doctors and nurses. They're doing a great job. So anyways, back to this. This is practically ready. Everything's bolted up. We're using RSX base axles or EP3 axles. My son welded that up. I know it's not pretty, but this is like his first real weld. Got the alternator relocator, coolant housing, and like I said, this is a K24 with a K20 RSX Type S 6-speed transmission, Type S intake manifold. Let me get this out of the way, and I'm using the plug. I think that's a K-tuned cylinder head plug, so that way you can bolt. This bolts right up, by the way. This bolts up. I didn't have to cut anything. Just have to put a plug on that extra hole there. I believe it's coolant. Then I'm using a K-tuned upper coolant, adapter, whatever you want to call this. We're using generic K motor, K series fuel line and regulator. So the way this goes is it bolts up to the fuel filter. Now they wanted it to go bolt up to the firewall through here and then make it, you know, return, and then a returnless going up to the middle. But I kind of didn't like this running across here where the headers is. So, and plus the way this is situated, it would have made like a weird angle turn like this to come back here. So the hoses were long enough that what I did instead is do it the old-fashioned way, I guess, which is what you want to call it. It went through the rail. I put a plug on the bottom one, and then, you know, this is where I put my the gauge, and then from the rail it goes through the regulator. From the regulator it goes through the return, and that's, you know, and basically what I just did was the hose was too long, so we just cut it to fit and reinstalled the AN end links, whatever you want to call it. So that's how we're gonna run this. And all these wires you see sticking out, I'm guessing I won't need this fan switch because we are gonna run K-Pro. I sent it out already. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to get back. And then the coolant temp sensor for the gauge is running here. I do have the harness conversion from Amazon. It plugs in here. It's gonna run down there. I gotta stop in that. This is for the O2 sensor. And then let me take you inside the car. And then it, you know, taps into this gray plug, and then this goes to the ECU. This is from the engine harness, the stock RSX, and this is from the harness conversion. All three plugs will go to the ECU data link connector. This two wires right here will go outside. One is the fan switch, the other one is a temperature sensor. These three wires will tap into here. I believe ELD, check engine light, fuel pump, and what's this one? Charge light, the battery light, you know, let you know your alternator is working. So I'm still working on that. Sorry, this car's a mess right now. We did get the K-Tune no cut shifter. My son kind of wrapped this. I don't know if he's gonna put the shift boot back in, you know, so you know. So most people's complaint that this is a little bit flimsy. Well, my son, he looked it up, and what he did was he put a longer bolt and put a nut on it. Normally it just screwed in to the housing itself, and the bolt was kind of short that came with it, so he put a longer one, and then he put a nut, so he kind of sandwiched the housing itself, so that way, I mean, it's got a little slop on it, but when we first got it, this whole thing was like moving every time you try to shift, so that's working better. That's as far as inside the car. Let me go back. Still got to work on the exhaust. As far as the exhaust, we're using a Megan Racing. I kind of don't like how it's a little too close to the steering column here. This one had enough room to really just go like that. I got a feeling we'll probably replace this some down the line. As far as, again, you know, the harness stuff, you know, this is from the harness conversion. What I'm going to do is start running this back into the engine bay. I'm just going to plug it down here, and I believe the battery tray will cover that. We did have to remove the evap canister because, you know, it's touching the headers. Let's see, and these are the max speeding rods engine mounts, which is the knockoff Passport. Actually, this is also a knockoff, was that Carcep? It's not the real deal, but it looks kind of legit. That is a real, you know, that's K-Tune, and there's stuff on the side of K-Tune. I mounted the radiator. It's a Civic radiator, and you know, I basically cut the mounts there and moved it So that way, you know, this is mounted, and I still gotta put a hole here, and so that way it'll stay in place. But for now, I'm doing the harness. Also got to figure out what am I gonna do for the charge harness. I do have the RSX base, you know, not base harness. I do have the RSX stock charge harness, so I'm probably gonna take that apart and tie it into the car, you know, the stock, you know, positive cable. See how that goes. But yeah, stay tuned. I'll probably end this video here. I know we took some time lapse of him pulling the engine out of the RSX, and I think pulling the engine out of this. But my laptop broke, my MacBook. It's not importing any more files. So, and you know, before I can get around to buying a laptop, we had stay in home. Not really order, but we do want to stay home. Best Buy is closed already, so I'm probably just not gonna put that. I'm just gonna edit it through my iPhone, and you know, go from there. So the next video will probably see us buttoning this up and starting it and see how it goes. You know, right now I'm waiting for the harness. We do have to put the clutch line in. Once the harness is in, button everything up, clean it up, and wait for the K-Pro to come back. Hopefully he comes back soon. If not, I mean, he's not using this car. That's school's out, and we don't see it opening until fall again. So yeah, everybody just stay safe. You know, stay home. You know, don't want to take any unnecessary risk. You know, so yeah, till next time.